Hey there, and welcome to a fresh episode of Show Me the Crypto. This week we chat with Sara Phillips, who is a singer-songwriter who is doing some incredible things in the Web3 space. Ulf, what did you think of this episode?
I loved it. Chatting with Sara was so much fun to be able to learn about how musicians in the Web3 space are utilizing the technology to create that closer connection with their fans and offering utility through their NFT drops. So yeah, it was a great conversation.
Yeah, and Sara's been around for a long time. She talks about the fact that she minted her first music NFTs and then it was months. It was like 6 months until that sold. And all of a sudden, all of her NFTs sold at once. And then she was deep in the space. But also, she's done a lot of innovative things with what specifically that utility looks like. So she's experimenting with different platforms and she gives some great advice to emerging artists in terms of how they can get involved in the space. You're going to love this episode. We hope you enjoy it.
Show me the crypto. Show me the crypto. Show me the crypto.
In a world on the brink of disruption, two men will bring you clarity by interviewing some of the most intelligent and influential names in the blockchain world. Welcome to Show Me the Crypto with your hosts, Wade Patterson and Ulf Lonergan.
Well, hi there, and welcome to Show Me the Crypto. My name is Wade Patterson.
And I'm Ulf Lonergan.
We're a couple of friends from Canada who love learning about cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology, and we're happy you're along for the ride. Whether you're a crypto virgin or you know your way around the block, we hope our interviews of some of the most intelligent and influential people in the blockchain space help deliver you with value. And on this episode, we're joined by singer-songwriter Sara Phillips. After graduating college in her hometown of Montreal, Sara moved to New York to pursue her love of music. During her time in New York, Sara wrote and produced her first self-titled EP before moving to LA in 2015. Today, Sara is quickly becoming one of the most popular artists innovating in the Web3 music scene. Sara, welcome to Show Me the Crypto.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're really excited about this conversation. And I want to start off because my understanding is that you weren't always aware of this talent that you had and that you secretly uploaded videos to YouTube. And it was the positive feedback that kind of spurred you going forward in the industry. And so first question is, where did that love of music initially stem from? And then what gave you the confidence to actually go and post those videos to YouTube?
Yeah, that is true. I never sort of thought that I would make music or write music or definitely not pursue it as a career. But I was always such a huge fan of music, like since I can remember. My parents, I guess, growing up, like they're huge music fans and were always playing music in the house. So probably started very young, and then yeah, I just like was obsessed. I was obsessed with it. I would just like buy CDs. I would save up like $9 or whatever it was at the time and like go get a new CD. And it was the best day ever. And yeah, I slowly started, because I mean, back then, it was like just the radio, you know, it was what you heard on the radio was kind of all the music you were getting. So it was a lot of like pop, a lot of like, you know, one kind of genre and, you know, Britney Spears and that kind of stuff. So I never heard too many like different kind of voices. And then I remember I would like steal CDs from my older sister's room and listen to them and like try to copy them and then or like record it onto a cassette tape and then like put them back before she noticed. But I took randomly, I didn't know who she was, but I took an Alanis Morissette CD from her room. And I like fell in love and I was like, this is so cool. Cause I had never really heard like different sounding, you know, voices or artists or, definitely not talking about the things that Alanis Morissette was talking about. I was perhaps too young to be listening to it. But I just thought it was so cool and like different and edgy. And so yeah, then I kind of started just exploring more music and just became a massive fan of every genre. And then I started playing in my high school band. But again, I never thought like beyond high school I would do music. I didn't know anyone who was an artist, any kind of artist really for their career. So I never really imagined that as a possibility. But yeah, and then I got a guitar. I think I was 16. So, and I started learning and slowly started writing music. And again, like wouldn't tell anyone. I would just like do it in my room. And then eventually started uploading to YouTube. And again, like didn't tell anyone about my channel, didn't post it anywhere. And I remember a friend of mine from back home found my channel one day somehow. I still don't know how he did it, but he found my channel and he posted on his Facebook like a video of mine. And I was furious with him. Like it was the ultimate betrayal to me. I was so upset. So I really didn't want like anyone knowing. I don't know. I was so shy and yeah, I just yeah. So I remember being really, really upset about that. But then yeah, and I kept uploading to YouTube and people liked it. And so I was like, oh, this is fun. Like maybe I'm able to do this at least for fun, you know, like at least people like to listen to my voice or, you know, my songs. And yeah, and then I decided to move to New York a couple of years later. I was just like, I want to like go explore like the live music scene there and write. And that's kind of what I did.
So 2 things off that. First is you mentioned you were in band in high school and you said you had got a guitar at 16. Is that what you were like? What were you playing in band, or was this vocals or a mix of both or something else?
I was playing the flute.
Okay.
There were like 2 years I did percussion. So I was playing drums for a little bit. But I played the flute for 7 years, I guess. This flute. I always worry when I say flute, people are going to think like recorder.
Yeah.
But this one.
No, recorder's recorder. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I never want to say I studied the recorder for 7 years. So
yeah.
Yeah, and I loved it. And that was like what I looked forward to and like what got me through high school, I feel like, was like having that like part of learning be like just all music. And but yeah, obviously you can't really like play the flute and like sing at the same time.
Lizzo pulls off the flute though, and you just got to break it in between the vocals. Yeah, no, that's awesome though. And second part is you said you were so mad at your friend for sharing that video. Did you ever smooth that over and thank your friend for?
I should thank him. I should reach out to him and be like, I forgive you now.
Yeah. You're finally forgiven.
Furious. I called him and I was like, I don't know why you would do furious. And now it's like such a hilarious thing to think back on. But I don't know. I don't know. I was young and I was like afraid to be like, I like to sing or like I want to be an artist, or because that just seemed so kind of out of the realm of possibility for me where I was growing up, you know.
Before your friend shared that video, were you still getting like some anonymous like Twitter random comments and stuff like that as well that were positive? Or like what was the feedback from people who you didn't know who maybe stumbled across your videos?
Yeah, so within YouTube, I was already getting like subscribers and comments and stuff, and that started happening more and more. So but it only really existed there. Like nobody else, you know, knew about it. And then of course, like Facebook, it was like everybody I know in my personal life, you know, like I was very okay with it being people I've never met. But then, you know, I don't know. I didn't want like my friends at school or people at school to like know that I was like uploading Coldplay covers in my bedroom. I don't know.
Felt like an invasion of privacy or something.
Right. Yeah. But also like then it wasn't really like, I didn't know anybody who was even like doing content creation, you know? So like now it's so normal. We do TikTok and YouTube and like, you know, film our entire lives pretty much for the internet to see. But then it was like, it felt like such a like more intimate thing. So yeah, I was just very insecure about it at the time.
So during your journey growing up, Montreal is your hometown. You eventually moved to New York and then to LA. These are three major cities, very different cities culturally. And I'm wondering, with the music scene, how would you say that the music scene differed from location to location, and what has been your favorite?
Oh, that's a tough question. Definitely so different in terms of, even like moving to New York was like culture shock in and of itself. Cause I'm from Montreal, but I'm like not from like downtown, it's kind of more like farmland where I'm from.
Right.
So, and then I moved to like Manhattan. So that was crazy in and of itself. But I actually didn't experience the Montreal music scene, too much at all before I left. So, I mean, I as a fan, I did, I was, 13 years old, like leaving school early to like line up for Our Lady Peace tickets and stuff, just like I loved going to shows, and I was definitely doing a lot of that, but I wasn't really like performing or like kind of like getting in with the scene or like the music creator scene there. So I didn't experience that too much. But then when I moved to New York, it was very like gig, like live shows, like crazy. Like at one point every 2 weeks I was doing a show, like an actual show, and then doing, open mics. And so that was cool in that, like, to get my performance chops kind of up and to just meet people in the scene there. And it was cool because there are so many artists there's so many artists in Montreal, but in New York, there are so many people who like do this every day that maybe you'll never like hear about, but there's this whole like world of, live shows and gigging and like doing the circuits there. And that was really cool because I was at live shows like all the time, like either as a fan or listener or performing. So that was really cool. Being in New York, I had some friends in LA already, and I was always told, like, you're a songwriter, you have to be in LA. Like, this is the place for songwriting. And that I did notice a difference. Maybe it's changed now, but I did notice a huge difference from New York to LA in terms of like people getting in sessions every day and like collaborating and going to the studio. Like it's much more of like a job and like people show up to things. Whereas New York was kind of just like art, culture, it's like a vibe. And LA is like, come to work, which is a good thing. In my mind. So yeah, I mean, and to give LA its credit, like the live scene here is so cool, and there's so much live music to see, and there's such cool shows that get put on here. So once I started gigging out here, I like fell in love with that, and like the live show community out here, and the like the audience that is kind of built in here. Like I feel like a lot of venues out here, people just show up to watch the music, even if they'd never heard of you, like even if you're not a major artist, or they're not necessarily like your core fan group, like they just want to see live music, which is so cool. And of course, New York was like that too, but.
So cool.
Yeah.
And so at what point along this journey did, I guess, like the world of crypto hit your radar? I mean, was it through NFTs specifically? When did all of this first something you came across? Yeah,
so about a year and a half ago, I want to say, I started getting interested in NFTs, and it was like PFP projects. It was like Women in Weapons and World of Women and all those kind of communities. And that was, my partner introduced me to that stuff because they were already in kind of like the crypto like trading space a little bit. And so they were like, this is really cool. And so I started kind of looking into that and becoming a part of some communities. And I was like, this is so different and so cool, and like such a supportive place on the internet. So that was really like interesting to me, even before the kind of music NFT space was introduced to me. And then I started seeing a bunch of artists pop up who were doing like really cool things with their music. And I was like, this is, because for a while it was just like images, right? Like it was just PFP projects and like digital artists and that kind of thing that was kind of moving and selling. And but then there were like a few art, like Latasha, I don't know if you guys know her in the music NFT space. She's like a huge creator. I saw her speak at an event out here in LA, and it was just like the coolest, most inspiring thing ever. And so I started getting like obsessed with music NFTs and really into this space. And then I minted my first NFT, like my own, December 29th of 2021. Yeah. So a few months didn't sell until April. And then in like a week in April, like the 3 NFTs that I had listed, they all sold out, which was like crazy because, you know, I wasn't in a rush to sell out or anything. Like I just like wanted to have something on the blockchain, and like I thought that was really cool. And then all of a sudden and that was kind of heyday too. Like ETH was up. And yeah, so that would have been April 1st, it's coming up of 2022. And the first one to sell was a song I wrote for the World of Women community that I was kind of involved in, and I'm still a member of. I wrote kind of like a World of Women like theme song, anthem kind of thing, which they ended up buying. And I actually got to go to Billboard Women in Music with World of Women, which was like so cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they were sponsoring the event. So it was just like this cool intersection all of a sudden of this PFP community that I've been in for a while, and then music NFTs, and then they were sponsoring women in music. And anyway, so I sold that one, and then I had 2 music video like audio visual projects listed on Zora, and those each sold for an ETH each, like in the same week, which was just like crazy. And then I was
That's
like, okay,
awesome.
like I'm super into this.
Yeah.
Into this. How can I? And it was just so interesting to me. Like it's so cool, the relationship between like creator and collector, and like that kind of whole dynamic that was so different from the Web2 space. You know, like it'd be cool if you could like know personally all your top listeners on Spotify, but like that's not really how it's set up or how it works in Web2. But it was cool to all of a sudden have this group of people who were like, I really love what you're doing and I love your music and I want to support it. And then I can also kind of give back to them in certain ways, and, you know, incentivize them as collectors and fans or what. Anyway, so it was a cool week. And then I was like lit a fire under me, and I just kind of have been face first in it since then.
That's awesome. I'm curious, in the space specifically, like within the Web3 space, is there artists that you look up to? And maybe, I mean, that question is just as applicable outside of Web3 too, like what musicians have inspired your work. But I'd love to hear on the Web3 side, you know, are there specific artists there who have kind of maybe trailblazed, and that or just that you enjoy their music also?
Yeah, absolutely. So Latasha is definitely one of them. She's incredible and does like such incredible work in the space. Domino is an amazing artist. He actually he minted a project back, I don't know, over a year ago, and then gave to new creators, like sent them the ETH to mint their own, and I was one of the ones that he did that for. So actually, like my first NFT that I sold and was kind of sponsored by Domino. He's an incredible artist. There's a collective of people with Future Surf Radio, which is a music NFT group, that are fantastic. Charm Taylor, Isidore Noir is amazing in the space. Miles Ryan Harris, Scala Fengwe. There's so many artists. I know I'm gonna kick myself after because I'm gonna forget to mention someone, but everybody at Future Surf, and yeah, there's so many. Like if anyone's looking song.xyz or catalog, like you can spend days on there, like finding incredible musicians making incredible art, and you can own a piece of it, which is like so cool.
So kind of a two-part question here. The first is, what do you think it was? I mean, in terms of like how that domino effect kind of happened of all of those sales happening at once. I mean, it sounds like with World of Women purchasing the one, that probably that drew attention to you as an artist, maybe increasingly, and then more people jumped in that way. Was that kind of what happened there? And then the second question is, just in general, can you kind of compare like fundraising as a musician, or like being compensated for your work, how different that is, like Web 2 versus Web 3 in your experience?
Yeah. So first, I think definitely, like with anything, like once there's a little momentum behind something, or once somebody says, hey, I think this is really cool, everyone's like, yeah, I think it's cool too. But, so I think that was definitely the case with being able to say like, hey, this group of people like minted this and think it's valuable art, and then that definitely helped. I think another woman who collected one of one audiovisual projects, she found me through World of Women. So I think that like definitely kind of like kicked it off, that kind of like domino effect of, and just for discoverability too, right? Like we were all tweeting about it and stuff. So I think it got out that way. And people always want to see that like someone else has bought the thing, like even when any of us buy something now, we're like, I'm going to look at a review of it. And like, what
did social proof?
Yeah.
First.
Like make sure somebody else, so we're so like influencer culture. But so I think that definitely kind of kicked that off and was cool too. Cause just, even with World of Women buying it, like their community, a lot of them just like listened to it, which was as cool for me than the sale, as a sale, like I just wanted people to see my art and listen to it and, or share it. Like that's kind of just as valuable to me as the actual mint or any money that I'm making off of it. But and then two, it's a stark difference from Web 2 financially. I think what's so difficult for so many of us as songwriters or creators in general is that you do all this work for free pretty much, and then maybe down the line you'll get paid for it, or even if you are getting paid for it, it's 2 years out. You write a song and then hopefully it comes out within the next year, and then you really don't start seeing any money from it, if it does well, for another year, which is a crazy way to work, right? Like there is no other business that would be the case, you're you wouldn't work at a bank for 2 years and be like, hopefully in the third year they pay me for the last 2 years of work. So what's so cool what has been so cool for me with Web3 and being able to be like, here's something I made, and then selling it or putting it on the blockchain, minting it, and then seeing financial gain right away, is that I can then invest that back into my art. Like it's so expensive being an independent artist. Everything you're doing, you're coming out of pocket. Every live show, if you're paying your band, every photo shoot, every video you want to make, like we all have these like dream boards of what we would create if we had all the money to do that, right? Or like the financial resources to do that, but we don't. So it's difficult to like shoot a video for a couple $1,000s, which is very low end, and then have it get 5,000 views on YouTube. Like there's no kind of return on your investment besides sharing the art and being grateful that people listen to it. But it's cool now to be like, here's something I made, and then, or here's a song I just wrote. I'm going to mint it. I'm going to mint the demo of it. Any kind of iteration of what you create, you can put it out. Your collectors can be like, hey, I think this is really cool. Support it financially. And then next week I can go shoot a video with what I just made, or I can book a tour with what I just made, or, there's so much, I think, more room for creation this way. And just like, I think the art will be a lot better because we have more resources, you're able to do all the things that are in your head as an artist, so yeah. So I think that's like a really cool difference. And it doesn't feel like you're always kind of like scrambling and trying to keep your head above water like the Web2 music industry.
I love that Web2. Sorry, we'll restart that. Wrong word. No, I love that in Web3, it's about enabling the creator in a lot of cases to monetize in ways that otherwise in the traditional system, when it comes to artists and content, is really antiquated, and it's not really in favor of the artist unless you hit it big, right? And I think that it honestly goes beyond the music space. I mean, this is something Wade and I are exploring with our podcast, and there's a lot of similarities to what you were just saying. It's not all the same being in music versus podcasting, but it very much. We've been doing this for 2 years now, and the only way we're gonna, show a return on investment is if we get advertisers, which then we're beholden to, and
right.
That relationship could also turn, or maybe their brand reputation turns, and we're tied into an agreement, and even then we gotta get there, and we gotta secure that, and it's just it's not. And that only comes with time. So there's still similarities there, and we're exploring now podcasts, NFTs in the Web3 space, which I think, music in the NFT space is still really, in the grand scheme of things, quite new and novel compared to a lot of musicians. And, what we're doing and trying now is just in that same vein. It's a new frontier, and we're all sort of explorers trying to sort of figure it out. And so putting this back to you, I'd love to know what have been some of the challenges so far in being on that new frontier and trying out these different ways of adding utility to your NFT drops and everything you've been exploring.
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge is just like getting anyone outside of this kind of very, as you said, like small, new, niche kind of world to get into it, and like to like onboarding my like Web2 music fans, and that's kind of, I think that's like the biggest hurdle, because people don't get it, and it takes like time and effort to look into it and learn about it, and like learn about the blockchain. And I mean, I was like that at the beginning. I was like, none of this makes sense to me. I'm probably just not going to get into this. Someone introduced me to Discord, and I was like, absolutely not. Like, this is confusing to me. This is not user friendly. Like, I was just not interested. And then I just made myself learn it, and I was like, this is all so cool. So I think kind of crypto and like web NFTs have still like a really negative, I don't even want to say reputation, because it's like, I think it's a lot of just like myth. Like people don't know what NFTs are, and they're like, NFTs are a scam. And it's like, you can't explain what an NFT is to me. So I don't know. But so I think people just, are nervous because it's like something new. And obviously they see like a big dip in like the crypto market, or like a bear market, like, and people are like, you see, you can't trust, so I think just like getting people past that kind of educational like hurdle is the biggest issue. Cause I don't have many issues like within the actual space, like people who get it and people who like show up for it. We kind of, I think, mostly seem to be on like the same page there. But I do notice when I have this kind of like safe space on Twitter that's just like Web3 crypto, and then I post something to Instagram and people are like, what are you talking about? So I think just like that sort of bridging the gap, which I think will happen. Like I do think there'll be more like, mass adoption of the blockchain and crypto and Web3. So I think it's just like a matter of time. But I also want like other artist friends and like creators to like, I'm always trying to like talk to them about it. Cause I'll be like, you should be doing this. Like this would be really cool for you. But yeah, I think it's just something new and feels weird, or, you know, people think it's like a cash grab, which once you're in the community and in that world, you get that it's not. So yeah, that's kind of the only really issue that I have.
I appreciate your early thoughts there on Discord, because I thought I was the only one for a while where I'm just like, this is fucking like, it's just, there's too much going on. I can't keep up to date on all of these servers. And everyone was using it as like the utility thing of like, you get access to our Discord. I'm like, I don't want to be.
I don't want this. Yeah. Better utility. I don't have to join your Discord. That would be great. Yeah. So now we have like moved to Telegram, I find a bit more, like at least in the music NFT space. I don't know. Probably I think like a lot of PFPs and like gaming world, it's still a lot of Discord. But I still use my Discord. Like I have a Discord for my friends and collectors or supporters, but I use Telegram a lot more, which I think is like cool too, because it feels like more intimate, kind of like the you know, it feels like you're just like group chatting or group texting with like your supporters or, you know, your collectors. So I think that's kind of cool, whereas Discord is just like, but we love Discord. If you're watching, please sponsor Show Me the Crypto.
There you go. Love it. In terms of the breakdown between kind of like speculators, because obviously like the NFT space, that was just, especially during the bull run. Now that we're into a bear market, I think it's died down a bit, but in the bull run, it was just, you know, people were searching for that next NFT that was going to pop off. And so there was a ton of speculation happening. From your own perspective, do you have any gauge of like the percentage breakdown, or like any idea of like what you feel is the percentage of speculators versus those true fans? Like, do you feel like you have a majority of the fans that are collecting your music, or how does that look like?
Do you mean like out of my collectors, like who are actual fans and who are like maybe trying to self-profit or whatever?
Yeah.
I like to think most of them are true, are real fans. It's been cool. A few of my like recent sound drops, there aren't any available on secondary, which is like awesome. Which is cool to me, that people, you know, and people have flipped mine before, which is actually like equally cool, because like if I see that like you made money off of like something that I made and I made money off, I don't know, it's just like so cool to me. Like
still a positive.
Like somebody minted one of my songs for $20 and then sold it like an hour later for like 250. And so like that's like so cool that like my art did that to me. But it's also so cool to see that like people are holding on to their NFTs, you know, of my music and don't have an interest in selling them. 'Cause that feels more like long-term, you know, connection for me. That feels like these are people that like actually really like the music and want to support. And I kind of liken it sometimes to people, you know, like a Patreon or like a, you know, some sort of like subscription, you know, I guess like Instagram, Meta now has like subscriptions and stuff. So if you have like an artist or a creator that you like, you can pay $15 or $10 a month or OnlyFans, to support them, you know? And so, I mean, now like, I think it's very much like that. And a lot of people would pay $10, you know, like I would pay $10 or $15 a month to get like exclusive content or like be in a group chat with like other fans and the artists that I really like and just to like support another creator, you know? So I think it's cool that this is like a way of kind of doing that and kind of having that same sort of like exclusive or like Patreon kind of world where it's like for your kind of like most supportive people, but they also get they also have like this NFT that they can do what they want with, or they can, you know, get other utilities with. And I don't know. So I think that's really cool too. Like it's kind of similar in that way. I find like, instead of a lot of us also like, I want to stay independent. Like it's like I think that there's like a misconception with a lot of independent creators that they're independent because there haven't been offers, or there hasn't been major label like interests and stuff. And I think that's a misconception, because a lot of us like don't want that. A lot of us want to be able to create and release and do all these things whenever we want and however we want. And so now it's kind of like, you're supporting that without me having to like sign away every creative license and right that I have to a bigger company if I can get 100 people every month, supporting a little bit, so I think that's like a really cool kind of thing that this is allowing for the kind of Web3 and music NFT like collector space.
What would you say to musicians who are considering getting into the space, but maybe they're worried or they're unfamiliar with the technology? They've got their concerns. Will this work out? Is it worth the time investment? Maybe they are already committed or signed to more traditional in Web 2 style contracts and music production. How do you break into the space in Web 3? Is that as easily accessible to everyone as maybe has been for other friends of yours in the Web3 space, or what are some of those challenges?
Yeah, I think in terms of access, I think it's similar to most things in that some people do have more kind of access to resources to buy in or to get into certain kind of groups in this space. But I do think, the music NFT community is like so welcoming and kind and like creator friendly. Like I've never met like a more supportive group of people who like really don't have to support me, but they just do. Like I feel like a lot of us as creators will like post a dumb TikTok or something and it'll like go viral, but then we like post us singing one of our songs and like 100 people are like, this is like, I don't know, like it, and like 6 comments. And it feels like when you're sharing your art, it's kind of like, who cares? But you can like put up a cute photo and like people are like, great, I love this, And so with like the music community in NFTs, it's like they share your music, they like your music, they comment on it, they support it. Like it's just like, it's super engaged and super kind of tight still, like tight knit. So I would say just get into it. If people are already in label deals, I don't know how necessarily that would work. Probably their deal is so old or antiquated or whatever that there's no restrictions on NFT creation. That would be my hope for them, that they can do both, or get out of your deal and come to the good side, come to the light.
In terms of the different platforms you've used, so you've talked about Zora with some of those one-of-ones and song.xyz. What's the experience been like in terms of just using those different platforms? And like, was there much of a learning curve for you to figure those out?
Not really. I did have to, so I started on Zora and also OpenSea, just minting there. All very user friendly. Probably, now there are so many, like, you can like YouTube, like how to mint something on such and such, or you can literally just like reach out to people in the community and they'll be like, yeah, here's the information. Like, it's not as like gatekeepy as, which is a word. No, it's not a word. As kind of a lot of like Web 2 feels, like people like want to help you, I find, which is cool because I'm the same way now. Like when I came into the space, people were like, yeah, I'll hop on the phone with you and like explain this to you, or like I'll walk you through this and what. And so now whenever I see like new people in the space, I'm like, hi, do you want to learn about, I love to like share or like onboard or help people learn that. But, and then, so I wasn't on Sound or Catalog for a while. Those are still like invite only. So it's kind of like curated. And so I think like, I want to say like 8 months after I started doing music NFTs, I finally got onto Sound. And they're amazing. Like the the UI and UX is amazing on song.xyz. Catalog too. It's all pretty straightforward. I think like once you mint your first NFT, it's all kind of the same. And then on the end of like discoverability and how the platform works and shares your art and that kind of stuff, they obviously like differ a bit, but Sound does an amazing job of kind of like amplifying all its creators and coming up with like new sort of tools on the protocol to help creators and kind of to incentivize collectors. So yeah, it's not difficult. It's really not difficult. Don't click any fishy links is the advice I would give. I'm always nervous I'm going to like onboard someone and then they're like, I don't know, something's going to happen. But that happens in Web 2 too. Like you get like, you know,
there's
hey,
scammers
it's time
everywhere.
it's time to upgrade your Norton antivirus, and you click it and then they drain your bank account, or, you know. So yeah, I would say just be careful. And if anything sounds too good to be true, it probably is. But yeah, I like the best thing I did coming into the space was following a bunch of creators that I saw doing stuff that I was into, and, you know, hopping in like Twitter Spaces and just kind of like learning as much as I could there and asking questions and being present. And then, yeah. And now I know stuff.
Nice. You've talked a lot about utility here in regards to some of the drops you've done, but utility is an interesting conversation to me when it comes to like content creators and tokenizing their content, because it's not a necessity. Like you don't have to add utility. You can just create an NFT and sell your content, your art, your music, as is. I'm curious though, for you, what have you seen and what have you done yourself in regards to adding utility or, you know, gamification or something like that to your drops?
Yeah, so utility is fun for me. Like I always like trying to think of something new that I can do or add for utility. And I've seen a lot of, and I've done a lot of different things. Like for example, on my most recent drop, if you were in the top 10 collectors, you were able to claim like 2 free tickets to a show in LA that I have coming up. For my one of ones, I do things like you get like the original lyric sheet to the song. You get 4 free tickets to like any future live show of mine. You get like an art print that accompany like a one-of-one art print that goes with and you don't have to do any of this, but I really like doing stuff like that. And then I also like for every drop that I do a 10% to charity, and we always do like a different charity. But that's something that's like super important to me, just because I like the idea of like community contributing to something like that. And yeah, so you can do all different kinds of things. You know, you can give access to your private Telegram chat, which is like, you know, you can come chat with me anytime you want. It's like having your phone number given to, you know, like supporters or collectors, which is obviously like different than Web 2. That kind of like intimate kind of relationship between supporter and artist. But yeah, I see, like, I love like looking at what people do for utility, because I think there's just like really cool kind of ways to do it and ways to like incentivize people to support your drops. You know, you can do like, if you have 2 or more of this NFT, or people have done, you know, if you mint X, Y, and Z, or if you're a holder of this, you get like executive producer credit on my upcoming album, like that. Like there's just so many cool things that you can do. And that I think like as a collector, because I also like consider myself a collector, but as a collector, I think that's so cool too. Like that you can like get all these cool things, or, you know, get invited to stuff, or like get tickets to a show, or I just think it's a really cool kind of way to like thank the collector too, you know, and to like give something extra there.
And that's been one of the cool things about kind of following along on your journey over the last few months since I kind of came across your music, is that you are very innovative with whatever those special touches are, that utility. So with that in mind, what does the future look like? I mean, do you have any big plans for future drops, or is it just kind of like you take each drop one at a time, or what are your plans going forward?
Yeah, I have some drops coming up that I will share soon. I have I'm working on a full-length album, my first ever,
Nice.
which I'm super, super excited about because I still believe in albums. And we're going to do a vinyl run of them, which will be cool because holders of some of my like certain NFTs will get the vinyl for free. And so yeah, so that's super exciting to me, but it's also cool, like you can just kind of, you don't have to have this, okay, what does the next year look like in terms of like release strategy and plan. In Web3, people are literally like writing a song day of and wanting to share it and minting it on Sound, or, like there's kind of no rules, which is like really exciting. Like you can mint like a demo version, or if people liked one version, you can be like, okay, here's the acoustic track, or like airdrop it to all the people that collected your stuff. So while I do have plans to answer your question, yes, there's a lot of stuff that I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this next week. And then, or I think tomorrow I'll do this. And I just like come up with it kind of on the spot. Cause I think that's kind of exciting too. But yeah, there are lots of plans coming up. Also, I'm in an attempt to have people kind of bridge the gap and try to like connect like the Web 2 and Web 3 sort of supporters of mine. I did do for my last drop, like you get 2 tickets to this show, but also now if you purchase a ticket to my upcoming show in LA, you get an edition of my next Sound drop airdrop to you for free. Cool. So I'm hoping that like some people, like maybe you've never owned an NFT before, or, are very new to the space, or don't know anything about it, but I'm hoping that people like take advantage of that, and that would be like a cool way to onboard them,
Yeah, sort of do it in reverse, right? Get the perk the Web 2 people with Web 3 to
just
to introduce.
We're trying.
yeah, appreciate it. So it's still the Wild West for music NFTs. You're still figuring everything out. There's no rules, as you say. Where's it going in the future, though? What does the future of music NFTs look like for musicians, for artists, and what maybe isn't happening today that you'd like to see or explore in the future?
I think the future is just going to be like on the larger scale. Like I think if you're a Taylor Swift NFT holder, you're going to get the tickets that you didn't get, or you're going to, like, another thing that's so cool about blockchain and about like creator royalties is if someone like Taylor Swift, for example, is selling a ticket to her show for $100, and then naturally what will happen is someone will buy it and then resell it for $1,000. You as the creator, as Taylor Swift, or her team, will get 10% of that, or will get whatever you've set up. Like that's what's so cool too, is like the secondary kind of, that you can always like see what was bought for what and what something is worth, and that you can get a return on people kind of exploiting your stuff, right? Because we can't really stop that from happening, but we can correct it in a way. So I think that'll be for everything. I think to go to a Lakers game, you'll maybe, or to get certain like access to certain perks at crypto.com arena, you'll have to have this kind of NFT, or I think it's just going to be for anything. I think we're going to see it kind of like just spread all over, and like in every sort of market, is my hope anyway. And what was your second question?
No, I was just curious where you think music NFTs are going. And I love that concept, by the way. That I was wondering though, on that note, are the NFTs, as you brought up early in this conversation, have this perception, this negative perception by a lot of people right now. And I wonder if when that future comes, that it's normalized because all the big name artists and all the general public are essentially being pushed down that direction. Will they still call it NFTs, or will this we could call it branding issue. Either it will be overcome and the perception will change, or will they start just calling them our digital tickets or something,
Yeah,
something
I think the name's going to change. I think it's going to look like something different, but I definitely think that everyone that it is the next internet. I do think that everyone will have to come on over at some point. But yeah, I do think it'll look different. Yeah, I do think I don't think we'll call them NFTs forever.
Well, Sara, this has been such a good conversation. And by the way, we appreciate the Raptors jersey,
Go Canada.
Yeah, representing the North. We the North. We love it so much. Thank you for doing that. One thing that we like to do on every episode of Show Me the Crypto is ask every single guest the same 3 questions at the end of the interviews. It's a segment we call You Had Me at Crypto. Ulf's going to ask you those questions.
Okay.
All right. You ready, Sara?
I think so.
First question. Who's your favorite person to follow in the crypto space?
Oh, don't make me choose. My favorite person to follow in the crypto space is Latasha.
Latasha, nice. Latasha's getting all the props this episode.
Yeah. Go listen to her, go check her out. You'll know why.
Awesome.
All right. Second question. What will the price of Bitcoin be 10 years from now?
Gosh. What's the price now? Do you know? Today?
Like around 25,000.
10 years from now? 61,000.
61,000. That's
no, that's it. I feel like we've had a lot. Okay, so
do people say less?
No. During the bull market, so like a year ago, everyone said $1 million. Like almost every guest said $1 million or more. Like that was, and then now in the last few months, the answers have been getting like 100K and lower. So, but I like that 61 is like, it's very specific.
Yeah.
Because it's going to go up, but then we're going to use it more, right?
Yeah.
So it'll,
right.
Yeah.
I love it. It's a great answer.
Every
answer.
Right?
Like,
do I get one Bitcoin?
We'll see. If you're dead on, and this show blows up, that 61K is no big deal to us. Sure.
All right. Third question. What is the most underrated project in the crypto space?
Oh, most underrated project. I would say Women in Weapons.
Nice.
Love it.
Love that.
They're amazing.
We've been fortunate to have Sara on the show a couple times, and her and her husband Jake are just so innovative and doing some really cool things.
Yeah, great project. Definitely check it out.
They're amazing. Yeah.
Love it. Well, Sara, as I mentioned, this has been a real treat. Thank you so much for joining Ulf and I on this episode of Show Me the Crypto.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to Show Me the Crypto. Please make sure to subscribe as well as rate and review this podcast.